In this video, we'll be reviewing some of the techniques or items to keep in mind, tips to keep in mind when resizing a window or a page for making a proof. And this is necessary in order for us to be consistent, and um, we probably need to just keep these proportions if we resize the page. If we're gonna make a 18 by 24 parking sign, obviously will not fit here, but uh, the page that we create needs to be proportional to 8.5 by 11, and because the customer will almost always print those proofs in a 8.5 by 11. If we don't keep it proportional, we may end up doing proofs that are on the square side, but then when customer go and prints out, there is like white margins around it, like big white margins around it, and we probably want to use all the space that is available. Plus, if we keep that in mind, it will be easier for us to control the experience for the customer. This is another example here with a lot of white space that we didn't think it would be there in our page that is designed to have a little less space. So this video is for us to learn how to resize the page and keep it proportional. If we have, basically, if we divide 8.5 by 11 or by 11, yes, 8.5 by divided by 11, then we have this ratio, and if we divide 11 by 8.5, then we have this ratio, and these two numbers is all we need to know, really, 0.77 and 1.3. If we do happen to have the height of the page, let's say I know the page needs to be 20 inches, then I need to do the width, which would be the shorter side. I would do 20 times 0.77. And if I happen to know the height also, but in this case it is the shorter side, and then again, if it needs to be 20 inches, then the width will be 20 times 1.3. And let's see some examples here. We're asked to create a proof for dimensional letters on a 8 by 10 wall. So we create our little rectangle and we say 10 feet, and then we click here, make sure this is unlocked, and say 8 feet here. So hit F4 to zoom out, and I see that I need to resize the page. Now the page probably needs to be big enough to accommodate 120 inches from side to side, and then the letterhead on that side, and information here, and maybe information here. So I'm gonna make this page let's see, 96, so I'll make it 100, the short side. Need to click on the desktop to get access to the page size, so I'm gonna make it 100, and if I know the shorter side, then the other side will be 100 times 1.3, and that will give me a page that is proportional to a 8.5 by 11. Now this is pretty tight right here because this is 96, my page is now 100, there's no room for me to do anything else, so I need to make it big. Now for full scale or for the bigger layouts that we'll be making, usually for dimensional letters, where we put a person and a desk and the letters, we probably should want to go all the way to 199 for the higher for the bigger size of the page, because if you go over 199 inches for a page, it will not be very helpful because it doesn't really translate into a PDF when we want to save it as a PDF. So let's try that. In this case, I'll know the longer side, so I'm gonna try to figure out the shorter side by doing 199 times 0.77. That will give me a canvas or page proportional to a 8.5 by 11. So when the customer prints this out, we know what they're gonna see. So we put the letterhead here, some information here, and anything that we might want to add. And you can see this here. This is how it would look at the end. And this page is 199 by 153.23. But I don't need to know the second number. I just calculated it. So let's see another example. Let's see here on this page. We're asked to create a proof for an aluminum sign that would be 48 by 48. So then again, we draw our rectangle or square in this case. Make sure this is not locked, and then put our dimensions in there. And this is 48 by 48. Now, one thing to keep in mind, that if we make the page, let's say 50 for the height, it will for sure um, enclose this drawing. But let's see how that looks. If I know the shorter side needs to be 50 inches and the longer side 50 times 1.3, but this is pretty tight, and it may end up looking like something we don't really want. So how about we increase or make our page at least 50% bigger than this? So this is almost 50. Half of 50 will be 25, so I have 50 plus 25. I'm gonna make it 75. So I make the height 75, which is the shorter side, and then I'm gonna say 75 times 1.3 to get the longer side. If 75 was the taller side and I was trying to figure out the smaller side, I would multiply this by 0.77. So it is 75 inches for the shorter side. The longer side in this case, it's 75 times 1.3. So I'm gonna do that, and that's the size of the page that I have now. So I put the letterhead, I put any information that I need to keep here, and then at the end the sign will look something like this, or the proof for the sign will look something like this. So that's how we resize pages. Now for awkward um, or for signs or directory strips, for instance, this is a very tall sign. It could be a door, it could be a banner, a directory strip where there is only the sign or the drawing is really only going one direction, whether it's high up and down or left to right. We still need to keep this page proportional to 8.5 by 11 because that's what people will print it on. And we can either, I would tend to do it landscape because that's the way architects and many other companies do their proofs, but we can also do it portrait. I just feel that portrait layouts are a little tighter and are a little less flexible, but we can potentially do that. So if we had a directory strip that, and this was going the other way, it would look like that, and it would look like there is a lot of space that hasn't been used. But then again, the customer will print this on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. They don't have a square paper, or they don't have very long paper. Like, let's say I wanted to make this 30 just to make my drawing look like it's filling more the page size that I came up with. When the customer prints this out, they will still print it on a 8.5 by 11, so they will have a lot of space up and down. and this would look kind of silly with the letterhead that small. So if we keep those tips in mind and resize a page to be proportional to 8.5 by 11, we'll be more consistent and we'll probably keep our customers a little happier.